And a very warm welcome to all of you here on this wonderful day, another one of our graduation ceremonies here in what is one of the jewels in the university's estate's crown. That is the Barony Hall here at the University of Strathclyde. And what a wonderful morning for us to celebrate the achievements of currently our graduands that are sitting before me and behind me on the stage. And the next 45 minutes, they'll be transformed into Strathclyde graduates, which is absolutely wonderful. And of course, for those of you that have travelled from around the world, please understand that the weather's always like this in Glasgow. In fact, it's a little bit cool today, so I hope you enjoy yourselves. On many occasions, we have an opportunity to augment the ceremony, first and foremost to celebrate the outcomes from years of hard work. And today, I'm delighted to say we have a very highly accomplished Strathclyder, Dr. Mario Stevenson, who's sitting with us on the stage this morning, and you'll hear a little bit more about Mario's outstanding achievements as a professional over the recent years. And he and I overlapped a little, I think, as undergraduates in Strathclyde some time ago, and he's going to be introduced by Professor Robin Plevin, who will tell a little bit more about him, and he will then be given the award as Strathclyde's Alumnus of the Year. So, I will begin the ceremony by declaring the ceremony formally open, and I'll now invite Robin to the stage to invite you to celebrate with us Mario's fantastic achievements. Welcome this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Professor Mario Stevenson. A key advance in the health of people on this planet is the ability to be able to fight infection from the smallest of killers. These are the viruses, not even whole cells, but merely bits of DNA in a protein coat. But the names of HIV, AIDS, and Ebola and Zika virus are ones which you may well be familiar with. This fight is far from being won, however, and we need scientists who are dedicated and inspirational in such a fight, and we have this in Professor Stevenson. Mario Stevenson is one of the world's leading scientific researchers investigating viral infections. He's chief of the Division of Infectious Diseases within the Miller School of Medicine at the University of Miami, and an international respected HIV/AIDS researcher with an outstanding publication record. In layperson's terms, Mario's research is aimed at uncovering how viruses persist despite drug treatments, why AIDS is so destructive to the human immune system, and what other factors influence how viruses interact with the human host, i.e. us. His authority does not stop at HIV. He is also currently leading an international fight to develop a new test to diagnose the Zika virus, which came to prominence in the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, a disease caused by a virus transmitted primarily by infected mosquitoes. His work has been boosted by a $13 million grant from the Florida Department of Health to research the disease and help develop a vaccine cure. Mario graduated from the University of Strathclyde in 1984 with a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences. Interestingly, he was working on cells of the body called macrophages, which, as it happens, are a key target for viral infection. And as he has progressed his career, he has utilized his knowledge in drug research with his passion for viruses and the challenge of developing new and better treatments. His work has made a significant impact on the lives of patients, and I'm glad that he came from the place of useful learning. Mario has had a stellar career to date. He performed postdoctoral studies at the University of Nebraska and was professor there from 1993 to 1995. In 1995, he joined the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, and whilst there became the David Freelander Chair of AIDS Research and the director of the center itself, and stayed there for some 15 years until his present position. His awards and recognitions are too numerous to mention fully, but include National Institute of Health Merit Award in 2000, the Gertrude Alien Distinguished Lecturer Award in 2008, and he has achieved fellowship recognition with the American Academy of Microbiology and the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Despite his career successes, Mario has not forgotten his roots and is proud of his background, being the son of a steel worker from Airdrie and former pupil at St Patrick's High School in Coatbridge. But having gone to Gartosh Steelworks with his father and experienced the unbearable heat and noise, he quickly realised that that particular career path was not for him. Mario's decision was the steel industry's loss and Strathclyde's gain. But nevertheless, he exemplifies the Strathclyde ideal, that success can be achieved from whatever background you come from. Mario is very modest about his achievements, rejecting any notions of intellectual vanity. He is quoted as saying, "I keep telling my students that in scientific research you need two things, stubbornness and a thick skin, and I have them both in abundance." Despite Mario's undoubted success, what comes across still is he cares deeply for the people whose lives he is trying to improve or save through his research or through empowering his students and his staff to achieve greater excellence in what they do. His enthusiasm remains infectious, if you'll pardon the pun, and my staff within SIBS are delighted at the prospect of collaborative work with Mario in the future. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that I ask you to present the Alumnus of the Year Award to Professor Mario Stevenson.
Mario, many congratulations. Welcome back. We're absolutely proud of what you've achieved, and it's great to have you here to show our students what great professional achievement is.
Wow. I forgot for a minute there he was actually talking about me. It's nice to be home. Actually, the first interview I gave on TV in the United States was subtitled, so hopefully we won't need any translator for this one. So, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal for me. This is an honor to be receiving this year's Alumnus of the Year Award. I'm particularly humbled when I read the list of accomplished individuals who have been previous recipients of this award, and the diversity of the backgrounds and the contributions made by the previous awardees, I think speaks volumes to the incredible environment provided by the University of Strathclyde as an institution of learning and education, but also in its ability to instill in its alumni a strong sense of service and commitment to making a difference. I want to thank the selection committee for this great honour. I'd also like to acknowledge family members who are here with me today, my mother Antonia, my wife Nicolesia, daughter Victoria, and my niece Sarah, who actually is graduating tomorrow with her law degree from Glasgow University, but enough said about that institution for now. It's truly remarkable how much this institution has grown since my time as a PhD student here in the early 80s. I was in the Department of Pharmaceutics. At that time, the university was housed in a few buildings, and primarily in the beautiful red sandstone building known as the Royal College Building. The Department of Pharmaceutics was in the basement, and the chair was Alexander Florence. The students from many countries received their postgraduate education there, and I shared a lab bench with students from Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Australia. The student union was the cultural, quotation marks, centre of student life at the university, and it was located in a temporary inflatable structure on John Street. The beer was about 20% of pub prices, and the bar never closed at weekends. Many an important philosophical discussion, cool experiment, or eureka moment was made over the drinking tables at that revered institution. Alas, all was forgotten the following morning, and students had to find their way home after missing the last bus and a few 100 million neurons. I'd always wanted to get involved in biomedical research on infectious agents. I received an MRC studentship to pursue a PhD at the university. My stipend was £1,200 a year, which was, a king's ransom, considering that a pint was 15p at the Union. My primary mentor was Alan Bailey, who was an intrepid skier, a Greco-Roman wrestler, avid canoeist, and frequent drinking companion. We regularly trained together at the gym. Indeed, almost every afternoon, we went for a run around the necropolis and along the canal. And running through the Glasgow necropolis, I would often pause, gasping for breath, waiting for the rest to catch up, But there I was constantly reminded of the importance of research on infectious diseases. There are many family graves in the necropolis that bear witness to the tragic toll levied by infectious agents on the population, and particularly on children. Cholera, typhus, smallpox, and tuberculosis were major causes of morbidity and mortality in the 18th and 19th centuries. Most of the family graves contained the remains of children, the majority who had died before the age of 5, lives taken too early by infectious diseases. My PhD project at the University of Strathclyde was to try and figure out ways to get antibiotics to attack bacteria such as tuberculosis that otherwise escaped inhibition because the bacteria actually took refuge inside a cell known as a macrophage that were poorly penetrated by the antibiotics. So Alan and I would plan the experiments, and then it was hands-off. He left me to my own devices until it was time to write up the results. I think that Alan made me aware of some of the most important qualities in a scientist: stubbornness and thick skin, as Professor Plevin has articulated, stubbornness to deal with failed experiments, and thick skin to overcome criticism from competitors. The project was a challenging one, and there were many failed experiments, but at the end, the research was successful. I was very fortunate to have Alan as a mentor, and have strived to carry forward those lessons as I have mentored students and fellows throughout my career. Since obtaining my PhD from the University of Strathclyde, I spent my entire research career in the United States working on infectious diseases. In fact, it's been said that when I moved from Scotland to the US, the average IQ of both countries doubled overnight. Think about it. Prior to the advent of antiretroviral therapy, HIV/AIDS was a leading cause of death for individuals between the ages of 25 and 44. There are 37 million people infected worldwide. The antivirals have transformed the prognosis for individuals living with HIV. Life expectancy for an infected individual has increased by over 30 years due to these cocktails. I think that's remarkable. However, in 2018, we still don't have a cure that would rid almost 40 million people worldwide of the infection. And we still don't have a vaccine that would prevent HIV. Actually, we do have a vaccine of sorts. It's known as pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a single pill a day, Truvada, that, if the individual is exposed, completely prevents infection. It's a remarkable discovery, and that's something that I'm trying to get going in Miami, because Miami is still experiencing an epidemic that's out of control with the highest number of new diagnoses in the nation, and my own belief is that pre-exposure prophylaxis is, until we have a vaccine, the best way, the most effective way to actually stem the tide of this epidemic. My own research over the past 10 years has been identifying how HIV evades elimination by antivirals, how and where the virus hides out in infected individuals, since answers to those questions could lead to strategies for the cure of HIV. Some of our research is beginning to suggest that macrophages, that very same cell that I researched as a PhD student here at Strathclyde, may be part of the reason why HIV can persist lifelong in individuals, even in the face of antiretroviral suppression. So the identification of a cure for HIV/AIDS is, I think, arguably amongst the most important scientific challenges facing researchers today. a challenge that will take persistence and stubbornness, qualities that I acquired in abundance since my days as a PhD student here at Strathclyde. So to all the graduates celebrating here today, I wish you every success in your career aspirations. Thank you for the award and for the opportunity to address you today.
Congratulations again, Mary. Well done. Thank you for that. That was terrific. Please.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students for the degree of Doctor of Engineering for research in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, Matthew Banger. Ivan Joseph Hall Barrientos. Sarah Morgan. Jamie Alexander O'Reilly. Hannah Gillian Wells. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for research in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, Mutaz Hamdan. Demetrius Socrates Kamaris. Sarunya Lauvita Yagangun. Fatma Murtada Mosin. Gwenlyanne Flea Towie. For research in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, John Allison. Maria del Carmen Bocanegra Yanez. Robbie Christopher Brody. Ali Mohammed Ali Hassan Al-Haidi. Pinar Ozdemir England. Jonathan Jameson. Ross Forbes Minty. Jiaying Zhang. For the degree of Master of Research in Biomedical Engineering with Medical Devices, Zinan Li. Mohammed Javed Ruji. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Biomedical Engineering, Sophie Richmond Hill. Ryan Joseph King. Olivia May McLeish. Wei Ching Tan. In Aeromechanical Engineering, Richard Barr. Nohar Beltagui. Matteo Biazotti. Martin Breen. David Brown. Sophie Alexandra Bunton. Daniel Kane. Matthew Alexander Calder. Megan Elizabeth Caldwell. Thomas David Christie. Jason Clark. Callum William Conacher. Cameron Dominic Cosgrove. Ross Bremner Crawford. Simon Peter Davison. Luke Detter. Jamie Stewart Dunlop. Ross Alexander Finley. Robert William Fleming. Holly Florence Jackson. James Fraser. Jack Garrett. Andrew Gorry. Jordan James Peter Heaney. Alistair Ian Hutchison. Morris Samuel Graham Kelly. Ewan Douglas Kerr. Ryan Kirk. Ewan James Cameron Lang. Scott Andrew Lindsay. Christopher Ross Lowther. Ewan John McBride. Eleanor Catherine McCabe. Dominic McCluskey. Jordan McMahon. Craig Mackay Nolan. Daniel Paul O'Brien. Aaron Fionn Momara. Ben Parsonage. Stephen Andrew Robson. Gary Sue. Blair Alexander Smith. Cameron Stewart. Douglas William Taylor. Scott Alexander Whiteford. Jonathan Craig Wheeland. Callum James Wilson. Ronnie Woodward. Angus Alexander Yorkston. In mechanical engineering, Matthew Philip Agius. Duncan Philip Bailey. Ioannis Bakalas. Adam Patrick Bryce. Kirsty Elizabeth Bruce. Brendan Clark. Maxence Desprez. Stephen Dunlop. Kevin Featherstone. Cameron Neil Fiskin. Fraser Hamish Ford. Robert James Hamill. Ayman Hashim. Christopher John Hoey. Murray Wallace Hedrick. Alexander Hussein Kershaw. Sophie Isbister. Graham Ross Jeffson. Stephen Johnston. Christopher Kelly. Craig William Lambie. Robin Lewis McCall Lloyd. Neil McConaughey. Christopher John McElroy. Kirsty Victoria McLachlan. Ross McWhirter. Xander Benjamin Mays. Erin Lee Marshall. John Forbes Marwick. Alexander Mason. Craig Middleton. Blair McGregor Morrison. Cameron William Murphy. Cameron Bruce Nelson. Taylor Nimmo. Calvin Nisbet. Stuart Pawley. Andrew Paxton. Jack Allen Nathaniel Perris. Douglas James Alexander Peter. Alan Morrison Prentice. Jack Reynolds. Adam Richardson. Naomi Louise Rutledge. Solomon Belowan Anyi. Emma Claire Steedman. Andrew Lawrence Sweeney. Rhianne Elizabeth Thomas. Andrew Thomas Toole. Theodoros Vardicus. Georgios Sipilius. In mechanical engineering with aeronautics, Ian Beattie. Elsbeth Susanna Bird. David Paul Samuel Blues. Marco Demalas. Christopher Allen Higton. Anna Catherine Middleton. Scott Payton. Callum Roberts. Ewan Bruce Shepherd. Callum Robert Watson. In mechanical engineering with financial management, Lewis Hamish Buchan. Owen Thomas Lennon. Rebecca Jane Purdue. Paul George Sweeney. Rory Brendan Tracy. In Mechanical Engineering with International Study, Joshua Paul Dudley. Chilean Yos Dunn. Douglas Hitchcock. David Jonathan Macaulay. Fraser Williams. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Biomedical Engineering, Suzanne Fiona Drennan. Lauren Johnston. Caitlin Fiona Stewart. Cameron James Cooper. Ross Grant Devoy. Alexander Stephen Ferguson. Gary Smith Hartness. In Aeromechanical Engineering, Daniel Alistair Blake. Lewis Arthur John Parker. In Mechanical Engineering, Simon Ying Ping Kong. Yazid Khalid E. Al-Hifti. Cameron Anderson. Mahmoud Esmelo Gaga. Chuan Feng Li. Liam Neil McRailed. Chidozi Chibuki Osinachi. Michael Doherty. Finley Gordon Armstrong Fisher. In Mechanical Engineering with International Study, Alistair Brendan Carson. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Prosthetics and Orthotics, Adam L. Shaffi. Tanya Scherer. Laura Leslie Alexandra Smith. Yang Su Yi. Philippa Joan Tendo Betts. Stephanie Louise Casely. Bethany Grace Fieldsend. Lewis Jack Kerr. Louise Nicole Mitchell. Jennifer Evelyn Perry. Sasha Louise Playfoot. Ruth Catherine Taylor. Isabel Taylor. Ellen Whelan Smith. Nigel Wong Yong Ji. Andrew Woodside. Craig Chambers. Mary Ellen Gray. Emily Greenan. Vari Hendry. Lauren Kay. Raymirul Yusnijan Rajama. Iona Taylor Seller.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give these new graduates a big collective round of applause. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate our warm welcome to this wonderful ceremony. It's a day that none of you will forget, and it marks the successful conclusion of several years of hard work and a bit of fun as well, I hope, in the journey. And now you've graduated in front of your proud parents and your families and friends. Today we welcome visitors from all over Scotland, throughout the UK, and indeed from across the globe. And it's a warm welcome to all of you here at the Barony Hall to join in our celebrations. Of course, the context is always ever moving, and as we reflect on the prevailing political dynamics here in Scotland, in the UK, and throughout Europe, and more recently across with our friends in the Atlantic in the United States, it is worthwhile acknowledging the key roles for universities, not least of which universities such as ours. And here at Strathclyde, we are an institution where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged. We're a place that is both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together to enjoy excellent education and shared student experience. We all benefit from having students and staff from over 100 different countries here at Strathclyde. Ours is a socially progressive institution and one that is an exemplar for modern society. We're plural, multicultural, and we seek to be enlightened. It's our responsibility to continue and challenge unacceptable behaviours and practices, including, increasingly these days, by those in power. And by applying reason and exemplifying modern society, we can make sure that the voice of reason is heard above the din. But of course, to today, we are here to celebrate and acknowledge the great fruits of your hard work, the learning that you've built up, and the successful completion of your degrees. Appropriately enough, an American electrical engineer, Thomas Edison, a famous inventor also, said that genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. And I'm sure, of course, as Strathclyders, your own ratios would have been a little bit better than that. I was brought up here in Glasgow, in a sunny hamlet called Govan. And our town's historical motto is Nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And I try to embrace that ethos every day when I come into this fine institution. And I recommend that you try to take that approach forward into your own careers. Today, you become Strathclyde alumni, and you're the latest of our torchbearers to go forward, just like the many generations of graduates before you, like Mario Stevenson that we heard speaking so eloquently earlier in the ceremony. And with all that you've successfully come through, I know that you would agree that you couldn't have done this without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters around you. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. As the first of my own family to go to university, in fact here at the University of Strathclyde in the engineering faculty, I know the importance of such support, and I don't know if I blanched or I blushed when I was writing the notes for today. I realised it was 40 years ago this week that I graduated from the University of Strathclyde. As a very talented 8-year-old boy, I have to tell you, that's the education you got in Govan, let me tell you. But I'm sure that today's graduates and their university staff would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, the families, the friends and the supporters, for all that you've done to make today possible. Thank you very much indeed. And for our wonderful academic staff too, this is a very important day because your success ultimately is their reward. And Strathclyde has worked hard to try and provide you with a high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our graduates, regardless of background. So let me now invite our new graduates to say a big thank you to our academic staff and the support staff for all that they've done to support you in your journey and your achievements. Thank you very much. And be aware that your own institution is 222 years old this year. We were established in 1796, and throughout our history, the University of Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles. We were established, and I quote, at that time for the benefit of all mankind, and just as appropriately these days, for the benefit of all womankind. We were the only higher education institution established in Scotland during the Enlightenment, and that's a real distinction for this university. And we're driving our strategy forward in that same exciting spirit of challenge, impact and value, making it wholly relevant for the 21st century. Our founder, Professor John Anderson, who was a physicist or natural philosopher, as he would have been called in those days, had strong links with the American Benjamin Franklin, the American inventor and academic who was one of those individuals that founded the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the motto of useful knowledge. And that philosophy influenced greatly our founder, John Anderson, and he created Strathclyde's founding principles as useful learning. And never has that philosophy been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. Our motto, that should be carried forward by all of our staff and students, still defines our purpose as a leading international technological university that's also committed to be socially progressive. Across our campus and in the buildings that you'll have passed today on your way to the Barony Hall, our academics and students are developing drugs to diagnose and fight disease and illness. For example, we currently have several drugs on clinical trials in the areas of cancer treatment, degenerative kidney disease, infection management, and inflammatory disease. Strathclyde are also producing the energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to establish a low-carbon economy. We are revolutionising global manufacturing technologies, helping to create what's referred to as the fourth industrial revolution, or Industry 4.0. Our students, and some of those that are in the hall with us today, continue their work in Africa to establish water and power supplies and to deploy healthcare systems in remote communities. They are bringing prosthetic limb technologies to those in need in India. And of course, we're also working to inform public policy and our national economic strategy. Our staff in the Technology and Innovation Centre, it's a major building down in George Street, some £100 million investment. They're working on energy solutions, photonics, bio-nano systems, pharmaceuticals. Thomas Edison, who I mentioned earlier, referred to his team and his laboratories as his inventions factory. We call TIC our innovations factory. And we acquired in January the adjacent building, the Innova building from Scottish Enterprise, creating one of the most intense European innovation hubs, and certainly Scotland's first innovation district. Now moving forward, and we'll work with our court, our governing body over the next year or so, to commit another £150 million to build out that site down into the Merchant City, working on medtech, fintech, quantum technology, industrial informatics, 5G communications, and space technology, really driving an opportunity through research, education, and impact, and creating jobs and real economic value for this city. But most importantly, here at Strathclyde, we provide people with the opportunities to transform their lives and the lives of their families. And as mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation university goers here to Strathclyde. And through useful learning, we also give business and industry the tools that they need to be more innovative, productive, to promote economic growth, and to create jobs and provide us all with a quality of life that is both sustainable and healthy. These are some of the reasons that we've had such a terrific sequence of external recognition of what we do and how we do it. Every year, you might call it the sectoral Oscars, the Times Higher Education Awards. It gives out plaudits and recognition for great achievement. In the past 5 years, in various ceremonies, we've been awarded the UK Research Project of the Year for work between our electrical engineers and bioscientists using pulse power and electric fields to kill pathogens. We were the UK University of the Year 5 years ago, followed quickly by being named the UK Entrepreneurial University of the Year. Last year, we were pleased to have the UK Business School of the Year, and very importantly, just last year, we won the Times Higher Education UK Workplace of the Year in the sector, which tells you as much about what we're doing, but more importantly, how we're doing it as we bring our staff, students, and all of our supporters together in that journey. So Strathclyde continues to demonstrate a disproportionate impact, principally through all of you, our graduates and our postgraduates. You are our finest outcomes. You are this lasting legacy of a Strathclyde experience. But we also drive forward the quality of our research and develop highly effective ways through which we create value and impact by translating our knowledge to the benefit of society, to the economy, and our public sector and private sector partners. We're a driver for sustainable economic growth, and Strathclyde has a distinct role in that mission, here in Scotland and in the UK more generally. The universities in Scotland attract around £1.2 billion worth of investment from the Scottish Government, but the sector delivers back almost £7 billion worth of impact on the Scottish economy. And certainly the achievements of the engineering faculty and the staff and students in there, that gives me great expectation and hope that we'll be going on from strength to strength. Let me give you a few very potted examples of a very long list of fantastic achievements this year. So last summer, the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, announced that Strathclyde would lead a new £9 million lightweight manufacturing centre focusing on aerospace, energy and the automotive industries. At the time of the announcement, First Minister indicated that would be the first investment and the first step towards creating a national manufacturing institute. And that was announced in December, with Strathclyde as the anchor partner, building out at the Glasgow Airport with some £126 million now of public sector investment lined up, creating Scotland as a powerhouse in modern manufacturing. So if anyone challenges you that manufacturing is not going on in Scotland, then dismiss it. Because through the wonderful graduates that we have, the technologies and translational research that we have, we're attracting inward investment from around the world, be that in aerospace with likes of Boeing and Rolls-Royce, all the way through to the major energy companies, and now moving into manufacturing with some big, high-quality household names we hope to attract in the next 6 months. Developments are also underway with our biomedical engineering department, who've had their graduates today, with an £18 million investment in the Wilson building. Looking forward to translating and upgrading our teaching and research facilities. And I'm delighted to say in the recent Good University Guide, the department's undergraduate programme was deemed #1 in the UK for biomedical technology. Also in biomedical engineering, the researchers won the Longitude Prize Discovery Award for their project to create a micro-sized chip device that can quickly tell doctors the correct antibiotics to prescribe. We've also recently signed a deal with the US firm Hubble Lighting, to license our high-intensity, narrow-spectrum light technology. This is a method that uses light to destroy bacteria in the air and in surfaces, and is a huge step towards preventing the spread of infection. Our students have also continued to have a great impact, not only in the labs and in the classrooms, but we did very well at the Commonwealth Games this year. We had 6 current students and 7 alumni competing in this year's Commonwealth Games, and I'm delighted to tell you that 2 of the engineering faculty students brought home medals. David McMath won gold for double trap shooting, David Weir bronze for gymnastics, with great performances for the rest of the Strathclyders in sports ranging from badminton through hockey, netball and beach volleyball. Though the notion of beach volleyball practice at Saltcoats in a cold winter's day leaves me shivering, I have to say, but our students did fantastically well. Also from our student body, Leanne Nimmo, Katrina McGeechan, Laura Halliday, Rachel Houston and Amanda Onaga won the Engineering for People Design Challenge, run by Engineers Without Borders, with their design for a water treatment plant for a medical centre in Lobitos in Peru, winning the major prize. Dr. Chris Slow and Stephen Owens from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace also won the prestigious Copernicus Masters University Challenge for their innovative use of Earth observation and satellite navigation data. And this faculty is doing a fantastic job in innovating and delivering education in new ways. Our programme, the Engineering Academy, which widens access to our programmes, was named Partnership of the Year in the Scottish Qualifications Authority Star Awards. We also won the Innovation in STEM Training Award at the inaugural Global Game Changers Awards for initiatives including the Scottish Space School. Only 2 weeks ago, this annual event attracted several NASA astronauts and space technologists who come here, work with around 150 high-quality high school students, and also engage with around 3,000 young people in Scotland's schools to get them interested in engineering and science. So, I could go on, but I won't. But this is the exciting context within which you should view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that places students at the heart of all that we do. We value excellence in both education and research, and we create strong connections with society at large, as well as the business world. And for every university, it's important that we contribute, collaborate, and compete on the international stage. And we are no different in this institution. Our key international strategic partners, for example, in the States, include Stanford, MIT, and New York University, with growing partnerships with Caltech and University of Southern California, where I visited the presidents there just last month. In China, we work with Tsinghua and Peking universities and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. In Singapore, Nanyang Technological University and the National University of Singapore. And importantly, we work across Europe with another raft of fine technological universities. I have the privilege of being president of an entity called CESAR, which is a community of 51 world-class institutions, and we'll continue to do that because in spite of the uncertainty that we face around Brexit and the rather stumbling approach we are having towards concluding the negotiations, universities will be at the heart of international collaboration. And to my graduates today, remember, in spite of these uncertainties and the flux that we see, companies, countries, and indeed nations need high-quality talent, great ideas, world-class research, and those that are striving with great ambition, and that applies to all of you. So we'll ride through what I suspect will be a small historic blip, and we'll try to spread enlightenment by making sure we continue those international collaborations, and we will remain a European country in spite of any changes to trading arrangements. Our students, of course, in all of this, directly benefit from being part of an international university. This helps them emerge with the skills that they need to play a full part in the world and to help Scotland succeed. And our students have been exposed to many different cultures and traditions. But most importantly, graduates, you leave today understanding your obligations as global citizens. And as well as having an impact in the international scene, we're very proud to play a full part in the progress of Glasgow. We've been playing a key leadership role in the Glasgow Economic Leadership Forum and played an important role in attracting over £1.3 billion into the city 3 years ago as part of the Scotland's first city deal. And of course, we also remain with some pride, and I have my pride in my staff and students in this, as the Scottish Research Institution, Scottish Research Intensive Institution, that attracts the highest number of young people from some of the most challenged backgrounds in Scotland. This year, we attracted over 1,000 already through our 2020 targets, Very talented, very ambitious, but need further support to get them in here and for us working hard with them to keep them in here. Of course, during that same period, we've retained our position as being number 6 in the UK for the entrance requirements that we have for this university. So again, it beggars the notion of widening access having an impact on the quality of education, not if you make it a strategic priority. And whilst we're in the middle of the graduation season at the moment, 2 weeks ago we had our first graduation, and that was the Children's University. I'm the Chancellor of the Children's University, and we had 203 youngsters aged 6 to 12 coming across this stage wearing their gowns and their mortarboards. I don't have to use a box they stand on when I'm graduating those youngsters, let me tell you. Most importantly, they're here with their mothers and fathers, the vast majority of whom have never walked across the threshold of a university, telling the rest of the citizens in this city, Strathclyde is for you. University education is something for you to aspire to, or indeed college, and bringing them across here is wonderful. They each get a learning passport, and these youngsters between them had amassed some 18,000 hours of extracurricular activity, whether that was sports classes or they were doing extra activities, going to visits. When they go to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, they get a stamp in their passport. They go to the Glasgow Science Centre, they get a stamp in their passport, and then they come here and get a bachelor's degree from the Children's University. And if they do some more work, they get a master's degree, and we've got young girl who's on her way to getting a PhD from the Children's University. So that's what my academic staff have to look forward to. 18-year-old folk with PhDs coming into the classroom in 3 or 4 years' time. A daunting thought, but what a joy it is to make sure Strathclyde keeps its doors wide open. So, let me move towards conclusion by saying that if I were to characterise our university, your university, in 2018, I would say that we've retained high ambition, focus and momentum, with the agility and commitment to navigate the continuing challenges that we face in our sector and also the political uncertainties that we face. It's a privilege for me to lead this fantastic institution with the outstanding support I have from my executive team, from my court. And by the way, if you read the Herald today, you'll see that Strathclyde is also ahead of the pack because 2/3 of our governors are women. An important statement of women's role not only in society but in the leadership of these wonderful institutions. And of course, we also have great support from our support staff, our academics, and our services colleagues. I believe strongly that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we are doing today as the realisation of what he sought to create back during the Scottish Enlightenment. And we now seek here at Strathclyde in our modern society to be an agent for positive change in Glasgow, in Scotland, the UK, and on the world stage. And to all of you in the Barony Hall today, I'm certain that today's graduates will have an enormous impact, not only in their own career, but in society at large, and 2018 can truly become a vintage year. And with that in mind, as you leave the hall today, you'll leave not only with an award, but with a responsibility. Today's graduates now join our alumni of some 170,000 individuals around the world. So whatever you do with your degree, wherever you go to pursue your career, remember that useful learning means that you apply your knowledge for the benefits of others, make a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to, respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These characteristics are at the core of your university's values. And let me now return to today's ceremony. We're all here to mark the achievements of those who have been awarded their degrees. So on behalf of the university, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to all of you and wish you every success in your future careers. Please stay in touch with us. Let us know how you're progressing. And once again, well done, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you very much. So, colleagues, I hope, and certainly the families will have done, to all the folks, these people are nearly off the payroll if we can get them into work. So we're moving in the right direction here. But I hope you've enjoyed it as much as the university has done. Before I close, just to let you know, we will process down the hall, and we're going to reconvene over at the Lord Todd Hall, which is about 100 yards off to the right as you leave the hall. Please come and join us for some refreshments. We're good to catch up with some of you in the informality of that meeting. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, graduates, great to have you here. Enjoy the rest of the day. I now declare this congregation closed. Thank you very much.